don't know. Who's the bad guy? Who's the villain? I don't know. Who's losing out? The fans, the rest of the team, the Chiefs. The Chiefs' chances of repeating. That's just losing out. And so I don't feel strongly about this enough about this to say that there's a good guy or a bad guy. There's a dude that wants to get paid. There's a team that doesn't want to pay him what he wants, and they got to figure it out. Period. They got to figure it out. And just the I mean, you've long since learned that Mike Florio is not a good source for information. Okay? He's been caught lying. I mean, he said that he'd never cover football again if Tyreek Hill played football again. I mean, I don't know. I checked several times this week, and Tyreek Hill's still on the Dolphins roster, and Mike Florio's still writing articles. You know, he insinuated that the 49ers should try to hurt Patrick Mahomes, and that's the best way for the 49ers to beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I mean, he said a lot of stuff that is that's shown his ass. And so why anyone would get up in arms about anything he would say. And also, and you could read any reaction from anyone that covers the Chiefs or has covered football. He has long carried the water of agents in their message. And so when you read something from him, it's coming from an agent. So all that information that he tweeted out was coming straight as a press release from the Katz brothers, which is fine, as long as you know where it's coming from and you know that he's giving you one side of the story, and that's the agent side of the story and Chris Jones' side of the story. All right, the Chiefs have a different side of the story. And I'll be honest with you, I'm tired of both of them. You know, there's a whole long list of football games in college and in the NFL that I want to watch and I want to talk about coming up this weekend. And I'm not going to let this contract dispute hijack my joy and hijack our opportunity to talk football after we've waited months and months and months. Hell, since the Chiefs beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, I've been waiting to talk about this new season. And I just, and maybe I'm wrong. You can call Marco at 913-381-810-810. Talk to him. You ain't getting on the air, but you can talk to him and tell him, no, I want to hear these numbers. I want to hear more about the contract dispute. I want to hear that. Just keep talking about it. If that's what you want, then we'll rethink things. But it's Tuesday. The Chiefs play the day after tomorrow. Okay, and contrary to whatever Chris Jones and the Katz brothers think, the Chiefs will play with or without him. And the Chiefs are a playoff contender and a Super Bowl contender with or without him. Does it make it better when he's there? Yes. Are they a better team? Yes. All right, do their chances increase of going to the Super Bowl? Yes. Can they still go without him? Yes. Yes, they can. The task is far more difficult, but they can still do it. Can they beat the Lions on Thursday without him? Yes. Will they have a better chance with him? Yeah, sure. Of course they would. But they're going to play that game on Thursday night. And I'm sorry, during the game, I'm not going to read any reports about Chris Jones' contract situation. I'm going to watch Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce play football because those days are limited in our lives where we can watch those two guys play football and Andy Reid coach them. All right? Travis Kelce, for whatever you think, however long you think his career is going to last, he's on the second half of it. There's only a few more seasons, hopefully 4 or 5 or something like that. But there's only a few more seasons we watch Travis Kelce play football. All right? Patrick Mahomes will not be in his prime forever. He's in his prime right now. And if you're going to waste time worrying about who's not there, well, you got two of the greatest football players in the history of the sport on display on Thursday night as they unveil another banner after this team just won a Super Bowl championship. If you're going to be worried about who's not there, I don't know what to tell you. We're going to talk about that football game, and we're going to watch that damn football game. If you think I'm going to let all that hijack my fun, the way Nate tried to hijack our text thread about Messi and celebrities out of nowhere, where we're all talking about UFOs, and all of a sudden, you ought to see the celebrities of Messi. It's like, where was that from?
We're not allowed to just...
Nobody was like, we were all in this in-depth conversation about UFO, and out of nowhere, like a UFO. That's forcing something on somebody. That's the definition of it. And then no one responded to it, right back to UFOs. And then the next day, you send out a press release. Are you getting paid by the MLS? Oh, yeah, you are.
Yes. Yes, I am.
This guy's tweeting it out. And in case the guys in the text thread didn't see my tweet, I'm going to send it to them. I'm going to rub their nose. So no hijacking.
I thought you would appreciate it because you know celebrities better than anybody I know.
I didn't know half of the people on that list. That's the definition of hijacking a text thread, is it not?
I don't know.
There was no lead up to it, and it was a very somebody in our text thread thought they saw a UFO. That's pretty important. Marco, right? I was concerned.
It is science.
People are saying, oh, that it might be this, it might be that, and just out of nowhere, right? There was no build up to it.
No.
Out of nowhere.
That's what was on my mind. I didn't really care about this.
You guys see this?
I don't believe in alien objects, so I don't, I'm not interested.
Really?
No. I don't think there's any aliens flying around us, no.
Are you serious?
I believe in unidentified flying objects, but I don't think they're from another planet.
You don't think there's other life forms, other places?
Oh, I think they're all over the place. I just don't think they've gotten here.
Oh, they've been here, buddy.
Okay, well, see, we disagree.
They've been here for long before you got here.
Well, you could argue that we are alien matter.
They've been here longer than you, and they'll be here long after you've been here.
Well, that's your
very
opinion.
A conceited approach that you think there's no other intelligent life form.
Oh, I think there's all kinds of intelligent life form out there. But if they were intelligent enough to get here, they would have already taken the planet over. We'd be extinct.
They see this, we're good.
They just don't need it.
We don't need that.
They were here and left.
Why do you automatically assume they're hostile?
Well, because that's just kind of the nature of living organisms. If they need something, they take it.
Well, what if they're not hostile? What if they don't have the technology to beat us yet? What if they just?
Well, if they got the technology to get here, they're going to.
I come in peace.
I think they always start off by coming in peace, and then they realize the resources that the new place has. And then they take it over.
Our resources aren't doing very well, buddy.
You don't like our resources?
I don't think they are what they once were.
Well, I don't know what kind of resources they have at whatever planet they're trying to come from.
I believe there are aliens among us.
We don't have strict enough rules on that text thread for me to know what's on topic and what's not. It seems like people just throw random things out there.
There was a long discussion about UFOs.
Yeah, I wasn't interested.
And then, yeah. How many replies did you get to that messy tweet?
One.
I don't think you got any.
Well, got some Salazar that gave a thumbs up or something.
That was the next day.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about that night in the heat of the moment. You didn't get any.
Yeah, no, nobody cared.
Well, because you tried to hijack a text thread. Marco, is that the definition of hijacking a text thread? When it's all on one topic, everyone's having a discussion, all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Yeah,
this guy with a gun gets in and tries to carjack.
Without even adding anything to the conversation. Be like, speaking of aliens.
Right, or like this, or... Oh, maybe it was a star up in the sky. Speaking of stars, look at all these stars that are at, Speaking of aliens, this guy plays like an alien.
Yeah.
Is he even from here?
I thought that thread was just for if something interesting is going on in your life, you let or something you think the crew might find interesting.
It was an active. We might have had active aliens. He thought that he saw UFOs in the backyard of some party, and we were all trying to speculate what it was.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all I'm telling you.
I'll just stand down.
I don't know.
Next
I don't
time.
No, and you're not going to hijack Chiefs.
I'm not hijacking the Chiefs. I don't care about Chris.
Marco's not going to hijack the Chiefs.
I don't want to talk about Chris Jones.
I was going to ask you. Want to talk about Chris Jones?
No.
Why?
Because I'm tired of it.
Talk about Pro Football Talk. Give him the clicks he needs and the attention he wants.
No.
By being a mouthpiece for the Katz brothers.
Well, I think you already laid out his track record, so I'm not really interested. I'm ready to talk some football. Got my fantasy football teams drafted.
Are you ready for the football?
We'll have to listen to Chris Collinsworth probably talk about it a little bit. What the heck, Chris Jones out there might get more pressure on the quarterback, things like that.
Well, yes.
During the game.
Part of the game analysis, yes.
That's fine.
I'll listen to that if the Chiefs are having trouble getting to golf.
By the way, for everybody telling me...
Or maybe if they are getting to golf, okay, and like, hey, you know what? They're not missing Chris Jones tonight. Whatever.
Yeah.
Part of the game analysis.
Everybody telling me that the Chiefs can't contend without Chris Jones. There's no doubt, blah, blah, blah. There's 6.5-point favorites against this upstart Lions team.
Said that?
Well, I think we've had 2 analysts on our show this past week say there's no way the Chiefs can win the Super Bowl without Chris Jones. Frank Bolt called me angrily and told me that the other day. So I think it's interesting, though, because they're 6.5-point favorites against this really good Lions team. Vegas must not understand they don't have Chris Jones.
Well, we'll see. Who just called you, Marco? You look confused by what the phone call was that you received early in the morning.
Oh, just streamers up watching.
So here's the deal. We're not on 38 the spot no more. So we're not tied down by the restrictions of television. But we are streaming. So, Marco, tell people the platforms we're attempting to say, hey, this is going to be a bumpy ride. Okay, it's not going to go perfect on day one. So what platforms are we streaming on?
So we're on Twitch, Twitter broadcast, Facebook, and then YouTube. But
YouTube.
Don't click on the
YouTube.
Go to the 810 YouTube page. Don't click on the one that says Border Patrol September 5th. Don't ask why. You're going to click on the one that says The Zone 9123.
Why?
Well, because that makes sense. That's intuitive.
Because I thought sending the stream to the YouTube scheduled broadcast would work, but no, we just slammed right onto YouTube.
Well, you can't blame people, because if I went to the 810 YouTube page, I would click on the link that said Border Patrol September 5th.
Right.
Because that's what this is.
Well, I'm watching you right now on Facebook.
You can't chastise them. So.
This is pretty cool. Look at that. That's you right there. Does that make you feel like you're having a... I'm streaming the show right now on Facebook. That's me.
You guys need to tell your kids to get up. Stream.
Yeah, good luck.
Watch the stream.
My kids don't have school today. They ain't up.
No school for them?
No, we need a break already.
Yeah, we had no school yesterday, of course, but we got school today.
Been a long couple weeks of school already. They needed a day off.
What's the day off?
I don't know what's for.
It's got to be for something.
I'm assuming it's like teachers in service or something, but I don't know.
You sure about that?
Nope. Don't know, don't care. Bottom line is they don't have school, so I got to find something to do with them today.
What's your homework?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can't find nothing on here. Sports Radio 810, whatever.
Easy to find on Facebook. Just go to that Sports Radio 810 WHB page. It's right there. You can see us streaming live right onto your computer in what looks to be HD TV to me. High definition.
Yeah, so on YouTube it says The Zone.
The Sun.
This is not The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Mm-mm.
Using 2 different applications at once, and some stuff may have been left behind from the midday show. And you know what? They're the ones who started the whole streaming thing around here. So as far as the systems that we're operating with, so we're going to have some crossover issues here in the beginning, but I found out what I did wrong today.
What'd you do wrong?
I left it as The Zone 9123. No. I didn't change the title of it.
All right. Let's see. No, I don't want to review this page. Oh, yeah, there we are.
I'm looking like, I don't know. I'm looking like Clemson right now. I'm just falling on my face.
Clemson got their ass kicked by Duke. And that's another thing, too. I've already wasted too much damn time talking about other stuff when it was a wild weekend in the college football. KU and K-State took care of business. Although, when I was at the St. Pius game, I kept getting scores from the KU game in the first half. I'm like, what is going on? What's going? That was at least a close game in the first half. Then they pulled away.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. Doesn't matter. You get the job done. You don't apologize for winning. There's a whole bunch of teams that had bad weekends because they got beat and they weren't supposed to get beat. The game of the weekend, by far, the story of the weekend in college football was Colorado and Deion Sanders beating TCU, a ranked team that played for the national championship last year. And Colorado had 1 win last year. That was magnificent. And Shedeur Sanders, his son, who was threw for over 500 yards and 4 touchdowns, he was incredible. But I mean, it's you know something was good when you can't figure out what the top story is there, or is the top story Travis Hunter,
man,
who played both ways, who's a defensive back and a wide receiver, and looks like he could be a star as either position, and he plays both. Are you kidding me? And they go out and beat TCU on the road, 45-42. Travis Hunter, I mean, so he now has his odds were off the board, but now he's currently listed 40-1 to win the Heisman. My God, this statement seems wrong, but I'm reading it from SI.com. He became the first college player in 20 years with a touchdown and an interception in a game. Have to be an offensive touchdown and an interception, because of course many people have returned an interception, but I would imagine they mean offensive touchdown and an interception.
He must have played 100 snaps.
Oh, he played like 140.
I mean, it was crazy in the heat in North Texas in September. They kept talking about, oh, this kid, he's going to be exhausted. They can't keep making him play this many plays. Well, they did. He was amazing.
Look, that was one game. I don't know how long he can keep that up, but just the fact that he did it for one game, they're going to have to manage his snaps to be able to keep. He played 129 snaps. Some reports had him over 140. I'm looking right now. It says Hunter played 129, although some reports had him over 140. Figure it out. But either way, that was unbelievable.
It's must watch TV now when
Unbelievable.
Coach Prime's coaching.
And man, that bring out some haters too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all I saw was an unbelievably exciting football team and a great story to talk about. And that's a team that's headed to the Big 12. So how could you not be excited about that? I mean, besides whatever team that you follow, then Colorado's got to be right after, unless you're a hater. Colorado's got to be right there on the list of must-watch teams this college football season. Like, okay, there's some good games this weekend. What do you want to watch more than Colorado, Nebraska? I want to watch Colorado, Nebraska, especially after Nebraska seemingly had a win wrapped up with 5 minutes left in the game. And what has their story been? Even Stan Weber talked about this. You know, what's their story been? They blame Martinez, and then, you know, Scott Frost, and there's all these different reasons why they were losing close games and losing games they should win. And so then they found themselves up 10-3 with 5.5 minutes left in the game, and they had two horrible turnovers and ended up losing on a last-second field goal. Oh. You look up Larry the Cable Guy on Twitter. He about ready to give up. I feel bad for Larry the Cable Guy. Uh-oh. He's a good guy. I like him. But that's a Nebraska fan that he'd had it. He thought they had a win. Well, most people did. And so now we get to see, and it's a fun old school rivalry, right? We get to see Nebraska at Colorado. And so that was fantastic. As you mentioned last night, Clemson and Duke, I think people were like, oh, what's that game on for? That's going to be Clemson kicking Duke's ass. That's a weird primetime game for Labor Day. And until Duke kicked Clemson's ass, and Clemson looked poorly coached. Clemson refusing to I think they're going to have to embrace the transfer portal is what I'm thinking. I mean, they're going to have to get with it. And there were a lot of people that were happy to see Dabo Swinney get an attitude adjustment last night by losing to Duke 28-7.
Duke.
I mean, that was phenomenal too. I mean, the Big 12 had some bad losses over the weekend. The SEC had some bad losses over the weekend. There was the only thing that I take away that kind of sucked about college football over the weekend. I told you last week this is gonna suck. And for all the people who are like, oh, I like it now that they're not going to stop the clock after first downs because college football games are too long. Well, now you got your wish, dum-dum. And guess what they're doing? The length of the game is not going to be any shorter. Okay? They're replacing all of that, all of the play, all the plays that are gone, they've replaced with commercials. And so now what you get is the game from beginning to end, that length is going to be the same, but you get more commercials. Because that's why college football did it. That's why the networks did it. Not to make the game more exciting, not to speed up the product. No, they did it for more inventory, for more commercials. And so there's what you get. There you have it. I know you've complained about the length of college football games in the past. Did you want more commercials?
No.
With the same length?
Nope.
Did you want that?
No.
Because that's what you've been given now.
Nope.
Give me more plays.
I want less stoppages in general.
Give
I
me
want them to play the
more
game.
plays.
Yeah.
And again, college doesn't have to be just like the NFL. That's the beauty of it. There's some nuances. There's some differences. Like, does college basketball have to be just like the NBA?
Of course not.
Do you want to go to quarters in men's college basketball? Maybe, I don't know, maybe you do.
I like the fact that college basketball moves along more quickly than
But
the
there's
NBA.
differences. The last 2 minutes of college basketball game is some of the most long, excruciating.
Yeah.
Right.
So you compare it to the NBA.
Right. But I mean, it's fun to have differences.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like some, it's
Yeah.
the same sport, but a few differences. There's different overtime. There were some
Subtle
differences that made
Yeah.
college football special.
Sure.
And they try to erase that under the guise of, we're going to, try to shorten these long games. No, you're not. No, you are not. You're more commercials shoved down our throats, and it's still going to take the same amount of time.
If that's the case, then that sucks.
Oh, that's the case. People were keeping track. That was the talk all weekend long.
Well, then that's a failed
That's what you got.
rule change.
Oh, no, this is not for them. It's exactly what they wanted.
More money, more
Yeah.
problems.
More ads, and the severe decrease in the actual plays that we see in a college football game. Which, look, I love football. I'm there to watch football, and I'm very simplistic, probably oversimplistic. If you take some of the game away from me and replace it with commercials, I don't like that. I don't like that. I maybe not ever am I watching a game thinking, man, I'd rather see a commercial than this play coming up. It's me. Man, we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
Nate's going to go over all the numbers of the Chris Jones situation. He's
I got a
figured it out.
spreadsheet for you.
He's got all kinds of things to talk about after this on Sports Radio 810 WHB and lots of platforms. Lots of Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and MySpace and AOL, all of it right here on the Border Patrol. back to the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Later on, we're going to talk to Joe Valerio, former Chiefs offensive lineman, former Chiefs wide receiver Mark Bowrichter, and then Jeff Chadia from NFL Network and NFL.com. But right now, we have the head football coach of the Kansas Jayhawks, Lance Leipold. Coach, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you.
So, Coach, you guys, of course, get the win on Friday against Missouri State. Did that allow you to watch any more of the games Saturday than normally you would? Because it was a wild Saturday. Just when you look at Big 12 schools, Colorado beat TCU, and then we had Texas State upsetting Baylor, and Texas Tech losing in double overtime to Wyoming, and there were some other close calls. Things already got crazy, and we're just in week one.
Yeah, it was surprising games, and you know, you look at last night's game, Duke beating Clemson was another college upset, and so. But back to your question, you know, we're playing Friday again. Usually, when you play a weeknight game, you fall right back into Saturday games, and you kind of get a bonus day of prep. But we're still on a 7-day turnaround, so we were right back at it Saturday morning, and most of Saturday. You know, had a chance to, you know, just getting ready for Illinois, but with our summer prep done, had a chance to go watch our volleyball team play for about an hour, and then kind of back to the office, and then home in time to watch just the Illinois game. I did not see much of the other ones. What
did you think of what you saw from Illinois?
Well, from our time in Buffalo, we know what a fine staff and program Toledo has. So that score was not overly surprising, and defending MAC champs, and you know they'll go in there and battle. So that was kind of a non-surprise. I think again, you just don't know what's going to come out in this first week. Kind of what you're alluding to, Stephen, and Illinois had 9 penalties the first half. Had a little trouble getting in sync, and I know they'll clean that up when they come in here. So it's going to be a battle, and they got a fine team. One of the best defensive fronts in all of college football, and it'll be a huge test for our offensive line.
So when you play on a Friday and then you get to watch the game live, I'm guessing a lot of times, let's say you're playing on a Saturday, your next week's opponent's playing the same day, you might not get a chance to watch the game live. Is it any different? Do you get together with the coaches and take your notebooks out and scribble it down, or how do you watch it when you get a chance to actually watch it live because you're not playing on the same day?
You know, usually if we can grab any of that time, most of the time that's going to be just with our families or by ourselves. There's, maybe a few guys get together. But, the one thing, a TV copy versus a coach's copy with a wide shot and an end zone shot is completely different as far as preparation goes. Now, you do get some other things about the flow of the game and some other things that are happening in between the snaps. Those can help. And we do watch TV copies as kind of the last kind of go-through of maybe some things. I personally like, because our coordinators and staff and everybody are breaking down other things for game planning purposes. A lot of times I'll watch a run-through copy, whether it be a television copy or just the wide end zone as the game flows itself, just to kind of see what has happened the previous night. Because sometimes when you watch it on each side of the ball, like our offensive coaches will never watch a defensive snap of the other side. So so sometimes you get just a feel of how that game has progressed.
Lance Leipold's our guest. All right, Coach, let's talk about your quarterback. Jalen Daniels didn't go. You had said that there wasn't enough practice reps to feel comfortable, so you went with Jason Bean, who got the job done, and that certainly is a nice security blanket to have Jason Bean if Jalen Daniels can't go. But maybe update us on Jalen Daniels and his condition, and if he's going to be in action against Illinois on Friday.
Well, he like I said, didn't have nearly as many reps as we would like to really put him in. Would he have been available in an emergency last week? Absolutely. But as the week progressed, we just made a decision that, as we approached kickoff, that it was going to be the way to go. We practiced yesterday. We start meetings here in about a half an hour. Have not seen him yet this morning to see how he's feeling, but I do expect him to be available and ready to go. So, and then the way Jason played, of course, that was exciting, and I've continued to say about his improvement. So we feel really good either way about who will be under center.
You know, and this is a question about just Jason Bean, and you talked about how good he's played, and he played well last year. In the era of the transfer portal, when it's so easy for a kid to say, look, I'm not going to be the starter, I'm good enough to be a starter, I can leave and go start someplace else. He didn't do that. He stayed, which is rare. Like I said, with the way today is with the transfer portal in college football. Tell me a little bit about him and why he made that decision, because obviously you want to keep him. You want to keep all the good players you can. But he very easily could have went someplace else and maybe been the starter. But he's there for you, and right off the bat, you need him, and he played well in that game against Missouri State.
Yeah, great point, Stephen. It's, you know, the first thing, you know, Jason transferred here from North Texas and announced his, you know, that he was transferring even before I was offered the job here. So he had made that decision. But and then, you know, going back to last season, he elected to go through senior day and was going to leave and had graduated, and then after the bowl game and over the semester break, he started to reconsider. And like you said, even with, you know, Jalen coming back and everything Jalen had accomplished and thought, you know, he easily could have picked school number 3 and probably found a place where he would be easily the starter. But he last night we had a radio show, and he was one of the guests, and he was pretty much asked the same thing, why and that. And he talked about his relationships within the locker room, the experience he was having, and he just felt, including his relationship with Jalen, that he felt it was definitely the place for him to be, and wanted to be, and continue to learn in this system. And I think, you know, again, he should be commended, and it's paid off, I think, for everyone.
One of the things that I saw you mentioned after the game, and look, we can go back. You've been joining us on the show every week since last year, and you spoke a lot about Jason Bean going into last season and how much you appreciated his mindset and his approach. But I know that after the game, you talked about improvements that you wanted to see from him. By the way, I think that underscores right there, when you're coaching, whether the guy's your starter or your backup, you're looking for every single kid to improve. And if they do, then the whole team gets better. But you mentioned in running the ball, maybe staying in bounds, getting a few extra yards. Any other things you could point out to us that you really like, specifically with Jason Bean? You're like, hey, we want you to get better, that you've seen him improve on coming into this year?
Well, yeah, you know, simple thing, command of the offense and understanding. You know, there are some things that sometimes, and I don't want to use the word processing because that's not fair, but it's just, you know, because we're pretty wordy in some of the things that we're doing. We don't get coached to player communication, so it's signal, wristbands, a lot of things, and he's really improved in that area. But as far as, you know, play and decision making and things like that, if you go back and watch Nate's first year, you know, when you're as athletic and as fast as he is, you get by on athleticism in high school, and you try to use that as you work through college. It's just, I'm just going to outrun people. I'm just going to go here. Well, he had a tendency, anytime an opposite colored jersey would beat his way, he would like break the pocket, which is a tendency of a lot of young quarterbacks. Well, now he's more patient in the pocket. He'll step up before he escapes, and that has just made him more dangerous, as well as, you know, when he is running, he's not just trying to run around the corner with speed to outrun everyone, and that has made him even more dangerous, and you know, really elevated his game.
So, Coach, one of the things obviously we asked you about going into the first week is everybody wants to know how much better is the defense going to be this year than last year. You got your first glimpse of them in real action. And look, Missouri State had some success in the first half, but not really any in the second half. What was your overall takeaway of the way your defense performed in week number 1?
You know, I'm very pleased. You know, in the same breath, we know that this is going to be a significant jump in who we're playing. So, not to take anything away from Missouri State, first game, first year coach. some transfer linemen. They're going to find their groove as they continue to go. We only had 15 defensive snaps the second half, which is a credit to both sides of the ball. And in those 15 snaps, we had 2 interceptions. One of the things that kept one of their scoring drives alive was a low hit on the quarterback on a third down, and we would have been off the field. You take a couple plays away like that, we played extremely well. I thought we controlled the line of scrimmage, and for a first game, and where that, where we wanted that to be, I think we're pleased. But as I just said, we know it's going to change immensely, and the challenge will be even more so this week.
Coach Lance Leipold, our guest. All right, Coach, Nate has told me that about the new Black Hawk uniforms that your team will be wearing against Illinois. And I don't know if this fires you up, but Nate has a black Kansas Jayhawks shirt on right now and a black hat. So
you noticed that?
Apparently he's ready. He's a Black Hawk this morning, so he is ready for game week. So
that does fire me up.
Does it?
That does fire. I should have been streaming. I should have been looking on as I'm talking. But yes, that does fire me up.
And so so I know this was so the players wanted this. And look, I know some old school people kind of roll their eyes, but I love all the uniforms and to see the players get all fired up about how they look on game day. So how did this come about?
Well, I kind of said it is that I think in my first fall here, and we just getting here in May. I think players, you're trying to get to know them and things like that. And, it might have been Kenny Loger saying, hey, Coach, how about some black uniforms? I said, I don't know, Kenny. And the thing is, I've learned at this level compared to maybe some of the other levels I've coached is that you can make at the lower levels, you can make uniforms happen a lot faster. Here, there's more hurdles, and you've got cycles and things like that, and that your school, Adidas that we're working with, you have to work through those to try to get those done, and of course supply chain issues and all that. So this has really kind of been somewhat in the works for a while. I think we picked them out about last fall or early winter last year that this was all ready to go. So it's something that's neat. I think we're able to touch on a lot of things that our players are excited about. I think people like the 1941 Warhawk Jayhawk on there, and then I think putting in that circus font that our fan base loves. I think we kind of hit it on this, and I know we won't please them all, but I hope we got enough of them happy on this one. And I think it'll add some extra excitement to the game.
When I read the article about the uniforms, and you were pointing out things like staying true to the school colors and some of the other issues, it made me think like some of us care more about uniforms than others. I'm a definite uniform nerd. I got the ones I like. I got the ones I don't like. I judge them harshly. Mm-hmm. Are you one of those guys? Are you into uniforms, or is this just something you kind of have to pay attention to?
Yeah, I'm a uniform guy. Used to be that way, and my father was a high school basketball coach, and I remember even as a kid, he'd get the old catalogs, and they'd have the uniforms and things like that. And I'm going to date myself, but growing up just outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Al McGuire was the basketball coach, and Marquette had some of the coolest basketball uniforms of all time, and he was kind of trendy in that way. And I always thought, and it adds something in today's local flavor of what we want and branding and things. I think it's great. And, sometimes people worry about the color. My wife made a great point to me. White is not everyone's school colors. That's the background. That's what you have to wear. And sometimes black is the background, or gray, or the different gray shades that people use. And your school colors come in the other way. So this is just another way to do it. It adds more excitement. And, of course, probably sell some more T-shirts and jerseys along the way.
So we mentioned the big matchup Friday night against Illinois. Brett Bielema is the head coach. You got a little bit of history with him. He was at Wisconsin when you were at Wisconsin Whitewater. And I read when he was in Arkansas after you took the job at Buffalo, he invited you down to Fayetteville. And so tell me a little bit about Brett Bielema and what you expect from a Brett Bielema coach football team.
Well, again, Brett, like you said, that to me, I'll always be grateful for that story, because he called once, Stephen, and he's like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. Well, you get like, you get and you're fortunate to get a job, you get a few of those texts and phone calls. But he called back a second time and said, hey, we're here. We don't leave to our bowl game to the 24th. Why don't you come down? And I'm like, and I just said to my wife, I'm like, he doesn't have to do that, and I need to take advantage of it. And I think that from that point on, our relationship even changed more. But Brett's been a defensive coach his whole time at Wisconsin, taking over for Barry Alvarez. And here's the thing about, I had a chance to be a grad assistant under Coach Alvarez. Coach Alvarez had a lot of great coaches come through, and he picked Brett Bielema to be his replacement. And he was the athletic director at the time, and that says about what he thought of him and what he could do. And then he took the job at Arkansas. Wasn't maybe quite the fit there, but he has turned Illinois around very quickly. They're going to be physical on both sides of the ball. They're going to make sure they stop the run and have some ability to run the football at you. I think they lost 3 guys to the NFL in the secondary, but he's got about 3 NFL high draft picks in the defensive line. So you can see where they put their emphasis, and it's going to be a big challenge for us on Friday night.
Well, Coach, it's going to be an exciting one. I think that the stadium should be rocking. I think that the atmosphere on a Friday night should be incredible. Are we encouraged? Are fans supposed to be wearing black on this game, or is that just is that what we're doing? What are we doing here?
Yeah, we're going to encourage. So I hope you have more than one KU black shirt, but if not, get it in the wash, okay,
right.
Nate? And if you can put that on, we would love it. So, and whatever you wear, just be loud and proud, okay?
Kansas pregame at 5 o'clock, followed by kickoff at 6:30 on Friday night right here on Sports Radio 810. Coach, good luck against Illinois, and thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great week. Rock Chalk. That
is Lance Leipold, who joins us every Tuesday. What's the?
I do have another black polo.
Coaches,
Jayhawk polo.
Let us go. What's the line, Marco? Don't act like you have to look it. If you have to look it up at this point,
I already know what it is.
Okay, then tell me.
According to ESPN.com, anyway, 3.5. Jayhawks favored.
Oh, I love it.
That was a grunt of joy or
visceral grunt right there.
That was the scream of my wallet. Not again.
What, you don't want them to be
what
favored?
I like that line. Thus, my wallet is yelling, "Not again."
Right.
Because I'm about to break it open.
You like Kansas, or what do you like?
Yes, I like Kansas there. Yeah. Sorry, I guess I needed to be specific.
Right. Nah.
They covered, by the way.
They covered your number. They did.
How about an apology to him then?
Apologies, Marco. Well
Honestly,
done.
you criticized him for that, and a lot of people backed him up. Jesse Newell backed him up.
Yep.
What is it? Your reluctance to dive into this?
Well, I just don't. The reluctance is the years in which Kansas has overhyped and underdelivered. So I'd rather underhype and overdeliver. Which I think that's kind of what Lance Leipold's all about.
Nope.
He doesn't go around parading around proclaiming we got the best this, we got the best that. They just go to work.
But you can't do this forever. At some point, you got to stop. You can't let what other coaches and other teams did affect your enthusiasm for this coach and this team.
Well, if in any way it does affect my enthusiasm, it just makes me more enthusiastic because I'm such a fan of the way this organization's going about their business. The whole Jason Bean story, to me, is a perfect indication of the fact that Kansas is in good hands. This isn't dependent on one quarterback. This isn't dependent on one star player. They don't just invest in their stars and then hope everybody else kind of falls in line. They have clearly worked with their backup quarterback to make sure he's getting better and to keep him around so that he wanted to stay. Because there was also talk last year, not only that he might transfer, that he might just decide not to play football anymore because he's one of those guys that's getting the extra year of eligibility, and he might just say, yeah, I'm done with this. But he decided to come back. Not only did he decide to come back, he's improved. It's just
now that says something that he came back. That's why I asked the question.
It was a great question, as Lance Leipold said.
But no, it says something because he could. There's a bunch of places he could have gone to start.
They're building a culture there the guys want to be a part of. And that right there is one of the many things that has me excited. I'm excited for Friday night, man. I can't wait.
Excite. We'll be right back after this on WHB.
You're tuned into the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bukaty on Sports Radio 810.